All right, let's just jump right in. Forget everything you think you know about good vibes or intuition. What if there was a system, a method, used by elite intelligence agents that basically turns human behavior into a readable playbook? Well, there is. And today, we're going to install that system right into your brain.
Look, let's just get this out there. This might sound a little blunt, but the source material pulls no punches. Because honestly, the stakes are super high. Think about it. Every single day, we get fooled, we get played by the most basic social masks, all because we're using the wrong tools for the job.
And this right here, this is the core difference. See, while most of us are out here trying to feel the vibe, intelligence operatives, they're using what's basically a biological exploit. They're targeting the predictable, hardwired responses of the human brain. This isn't some kind of magic trick, you know? It's a method.
So to even get there, we have to start by admitting something. Our current method is just fundamentally flawed. It's time to uninstall that old, buggy software that's been running in the background and install a brand new cognitive operating system.
And here's the absolute root of the problem. Our entire lives, right? Our education system, our culture, it all rewards learning in these quiet, comfortable, safe little bubbles. But the real world, the world of high-stakes deals, critical conversations, that world is anything but comfortable.
Which brings us right to our first protocol, and it's a big one. You simply cannot expect to perform well under pressure if you only ever practice in comfort. It just doesn't work that way. You have to match your learning state to your performance state.
Now, the science behind this is actually fascinating. It's something called stress inoculation memory. Here's how it works. Your brain literally ties what you learned to the environment where you learned it. So let's say you learn to spot a lie while you're all calm and relaxed on your couch. The second your heart starts pounding in a real situation, poof, that information is just gone. It's not accessible.
So what does this mean for you, practically speaking? Well, it means you have to completely ditch that comfortable, passive way of learning about people.
And you have to do the exact opposite. Go to a loud bar, a chaotic networking event, anywhere that gets your heart rate up. Force yourself to try and identify tells in that environment. That feeling of discomfort, that's not a distraction. That's your brain building armor. That's the training.
Okay, let's move on to the next protocol. And I'll warn you, this one is completely counterintuitive. Instead of visualizing success, the elites, they prepare for every single interaction by first imagining its complete and total failure. It's a huge difference, right? Amateurs spend all their time just, hoping for the best outcome. Elites, they spend their time systematically mapping out every single possible way a conversation can die. This isn't being negative, by the way. It's strategic preparation. The formal name for this is pre-mortem analysis. And it's simple, really. Before the mission, the conversation even starts, you ask yourself one question. What kills this interaction in the least amount of moves? By doing that, you identify the priority one risk, and you can plan for it before it ever happens. In aviation, they call this chair flying, and we can totally apply it to social intelligence. Here's how. First, you define the mission. What do you want? Second, identify those priority one risks. Third, and this is key, you vividly visualize those failure scenarios happening. And fourth, you mentally rehearse your exact response. You do this enough, and by the time the real conversation happens, it'll feel like a boring memory you've already lived through. All right, so you're training under pressure, you're planning for failure. But just passively watching people, that's not going to cut it. That creates what's known as the illusion of competence. You feel like you're learning, but trust me, you're not actually encoding anything important.
The fix for this is something called active recall. So instead of just watching, you have to force your brain to do the work. After an interaction, you actively try to pull that data out of your memory. Think of it like this. It's the difference between just rereading a chapter in a textbook versus trying to answer questions from a blank sheet of paper. And here is the most important insight of this whole section. That feeling of struggle, that moment where you can't quite remember a detail, that's not you failing. No way. That's the cheat code activating. That mental strain is a signal to your brain. It's saying, hey, this info is important. This is survival relevant. Burn this into long-term memory now.
So after your next conversation, I want you to try this. Close your eyes and interrogate the data. Don't just ask yourself, how'd that go? Be specific. Be brutal. What was their blink rate? Did their tone of voice shift when you brought up money? What were their exact words? You have to retrieve every last detail.
Okay, last piece of the puzzle. You have to resist that urge to do everything all at once. Seriously, trying to track like 7 different channels of body language on your first day, that is just a recipe for total failure. You need a system.
And that system is the crawl, walk, run protocol. It works like this. For 1 week, you crawl. You focus on one and only one thing. Let's say eye movements. You ignore literally everything else. Once that becomes automatic, like second nature, then you walk. You layer on another data point, maybe vocal tonality. You just keep doing this, layering things on, until eventually you're running, effortlessly taking in all these different data streams at once.
The whole philosophy here is captured in a famous special operations motto: slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Building this skill the right way, deliberately, systematically, that's actually the quickest way to get good.
So, let's do a quick recap of the toolkit we've just installed in your brain. 1. Train under pressure to inoculate yourself against stress. 2. Simulate the mission's death to prepare for anything. 3. Activate that memory cheat code with active recall. And 4. Master one layer at a time with the crawl, walk, run protocol.
And let's be really clear about what this gets you. What we've just gone over, this isn't just another self-improvement skill. No. In a world where almost everyone is just guessing, having this system is a profound, almost unfair advantage.
So that just leaves us with one final thought. You now have the system. You have the protocols. The only question left is, what are you going to do with it? Now that you can see the matrix, what lie will you spot first?